University. Pleasure to be with so many of my colleagues from the New York State Legislature, the Assembly, and the Senate. They are obviously here for the Vice President. I call a meeting, not this many show up. This is actually a quorum. We could actually pass legislation in this room. Anyone have any proposals? Our colleagues from the New York City Council, let's give them a round of applause. And as the President said, a special friend to Columbia, a special friend to me, a great national leader. It's always a joy to be with Vice President Al Gore. Let's give him a round of applause. And I'll have more to say about the Vice President in a moment. But it's relevant that we make this announcement here at Columbia, because as President Bollinger said, Columbia, besides being a great academic institution, really has been responsible when it comes to environmental matters. We're now partnering with Columbia University in building a 15-megawatt microgrid and cogeneration plant, which will reduce the cost of energy to the university. It will add to resiliency. It will also protect the environment. It's a very forward vision, and we applaud Columbia and President Bollinger for taking this kind of step. Let's give him a round of applause. And you couldn't have a better specific forum than the Earth Institute, which has been a pioneer in tackling global problems such as climate change, poverty, and disease by recognizing the interconnection and the connectivity among the problems and among the people globally. They really have done outstanding work. We all owe them a debt of gratitude to the Earth Institute. In my position as governor, you get to see the full scope and spectrum of the challenges that are facing society today. Many of the issues we work on are issues to improve society. We want a better education system. We want a better transportation system. We want a better economic system. We want a fairer justice system. But climate change is different. Climate change is not about making society better. Climate change is an issue of society's sustainability. To deny that climate change is real is to defy reason. I like to say that denial is never a successful life strategy. Well, in the case of climate change, denial is not a survival strategy. Current projections estimate that sea levels will rise 1 to 4 feet by 2100. If that is true, New York State would be devastated. It's that simple. Even at a fraction of that rise, Manhattan as we know it would be gone. Not to mention millions of people along the East Coast, which would be displaced, with hundreds of billions of dollars of real estate value disappearing. Besides the scientists' projections, our own practical experiences demonstrate a shift. I've been governor for 4.5 years, and I've had 9 weather-related emergencies in 4.5 years. My father was governor for 12 years, and he had 11. The emergencies during my father's term were basically heavy snowfalls. Nothing new, but they were worse, and they were dangerous. I have had hurricanes, tornadoes, floods in places where they never happened before. I've been in houses that have stood for over 100 years and never had a drop of water in the basement and are now washed away. 7 feet of snow fell at one time in Buffalo, an historic high in Buffalo, and that's saying something. Hurricane Sandy that we all experienced, which was just unprecedented. Climate change is a reality, and not to address it is gross negligence by government and irresponsible as citizens. We know what needs to be done, we just need the political will to do it. In New York, thanks to the leadership and the action of the New York State Legislature, we are well underway. We established the state's first carbon dioxide emission standards when siting new power plants, which will ensure no new dirty coal plants will be built in the state of New York, period. We are also repowering and converting or closing the existing coal plants. Working with our 9 Northeast Regional Greenhouse Cap and Trade Coalition, we reduced our carbon emissions cap by 45%. We're reducing energy consumption at state facilities by 20% by 2020. In 4 years, we have gone from less than a dozen public charging outlets for electric vehicles to over 1,200 today. We put solar panels on nearly 30,000 homes and businesses, and we'll do another 150,000 by 2020. We will install renewable energy, including solar, wind, and geothermal, on all state campuses by 2020. And we are challenging all private colleges to financially partner with us in doing the same. Mr. President, we have set the most aggressive carbon emissions target in the nation, with a mandate of reducing emissions by 40% by 2030 and 80% by 2050. Today, I am pleased to announce that we take the next step by signing the Under 2 Memorandum of Understanding, which commits New York State to a global effort to keep the Earth's average temperature from rising 2 degrees Celsius from the pre-industrial level benchmark. A UN panel on climate change determined that global temperatures must not increase by 2 degrees Celsius in order to avert a catastrophic impact of climate change, including sea level rise that would create extreme weather, cause mega droughts, and lead to food scarcity. We'll be joining 42 other jurisdictions in 19 countries on 5 continents that have made this same commitment. As UN climate negotiations, as UN climate negotiations begin in Paris this December, the powerful collective of signatories on the MOU are demonstrating the urgency of action and the importance of setting binding targets. World leaders must now follow suit. We also announced today that we understand that carbon markets are a powerful tool for reducing the pollution that is contributing to climate change. Small regional coalitions are not enough. Therefore, today I have directed my administration to reach out to our partners in other states, such as California, as well as the Canadian provinces, about building a broader North American market to collectively reduce harmful emissions. Hopefully, this will drive a national discussion. We can address climate change. We know how to do it. We can do it. We must just have the political will and the leadership to do it. And we must take the first step, and the first step is always deciding to do it and committing ourselves as a body politic to do it. It is just a question of commitment and of focus and of leadership. I'm proud to be governor of the state of New York, a state which has led on so many important movements. Just think about it. The women's rights movement started here in New York at Seneca Falls. The workers' rights movement started here in New York after the fire at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. The gay rights movement started here at Stonewall. The environmental movement started here on the Hudson River at Storm King. So many important movements started here. Our role is leadership, not just for the state of New York, but on progressive issues to show the way for the rest of the nation. E.B. White said, "New York is to the nation what the white church spire is to the village. the visible symbol of aspiration and faith, the white plume saying the way is up. If New York comes together, if we join together and commit ourselves to tackle climate change, we can show the nation what is possible. Let's lead by example. It's the best way to lead. It's the only way to lead. It is the New York way to lead, and today is a great step forward. Now, as you know, I spent 8 great years in Washington, D.C., working in the Clinton-Gore administration. And I had a great mentor and a great teacher when it came to the environment. Vice President Gore's leadership on this issue was early, it was educated, and it was prophetic. In 2007, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. A year earlier, he won an Oscar for his documentary, An Inconvenient Truth. I gave him the nickname at the time, Noble Oscar, which he did not appreciate. It's just a cultural difference in humor, I think. He has been a good friend to me on many levels. He was an extraordinary public servant when he served as vice president during those 8 years. He was an extraordinary senator before that. And if Al Gore had served as President of the United States, I have no doubt this nation would be in a better place for his sake. When they write the history book of greats, Al Gore's name is going to be right at the top of the list. Ladies and gentlemen, give a big New York welcome